Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Obviously, it's been an extraordinary and distressing week, and I thank you very much for your support and for questioning the information that you've been presented with. By now, you're probably aware that the British government have asked big tech platforms to censor our online content, and that some online platforms have complied with that request. What you may not know is that this happens in the context of the Online Safety Bill, which is a piece of UK legislation that grants sweeping surveillance and censorship powers, and it's a law that has already been passed. I also don't imagine you've heard of the Trusted News Initiative. Now, as is often the case when a word like trusted is used as part of an acronym to describe an unelected body, trust is the last thing you should be offering. The Trusted News Initiative is a collaboration between big tech and legacy media organisations to target, control, choke and shut down independent media organisations, like this one. We'll be talking about that on our show on Monday on Rumble. But just to give you an idea of what the TNI is, this is a quote from one of their spokespeople. Because the actual real rivalry now is not between the BBC and CNN globally, it's actually between all trusted news providers and digital platforms. It's clear that these organisations collaborate in constructing narratives, whether that's around the war or the pandemic, and of course there are other examples. And it's very clear to me that we have to be very, very cautious indeed. That's why I'm asking you to follow me on Rumble. Rumble have made a clear commitment to free speech, and Rumble is the primary platform that we will be streaming from. We'll be back this Monday, and as usual, we'll be talking about deep state and corporate collusion and how ordinary democracy is anathema now, how it's shut down, ignored and avoided. We'll be talking about a military-industrial complex that is able to facilitate and start wars that seem sometimes to be little more than money laundering operations. And that's with all respect to the hundreds of thousands of victims of the numerous ongoing wars in the world at the moment. We'll be talking about the role of Big Pharma and how Big Pharma have been able to influence government policy around the world and how they've been able to evade due liability and necessary scrutiny, how they've been able to avoid media investigation that perhaps ought be due them. And of course, we'll be talking about media corruption and censorship. So please follow me on Rumble, because that's the only way that we can keep our voice. You can go to rb.rumble.com to support me directly and keep me and our channel independent. And I need your support now more than ever, and more than I ever imagined I would. So follow me. Support our channel if you can, if it's within your means. But more important than any of that is that you please, if you can, stay free.
YouTube demonetised Russell Brand immediately over unproven allegations, yet auditors who break the law and infringe on others' rights in every upload are allowed to keep going. The abuses committed by auditors are not in the same league as the things Russell Brand is alleged to have done, and I don't mean to suggest that they are, but if illegality and abuse of others is wrong by one person, then why should it be acceptable in the other case? YouTube did not make their decision to demonetise Russell Brand's channel on a point of moral principle. That's clear from their statement. This was about how Russell Brand's activities impact on advertisers who happen to appear in his videos. But surely the same point applies to auditors. Are advertisers happy to appear in auditing videos? Auditors don't even respect YouTube. Marti Blagborough has re-uploaded this video that you're looking at now at least several times in response to YouTube taking it down for privacy complaints, and he has done so without any effective effort to address privacy concerns arising from the content. And it's not just Marti Blagborough who does this. This is a familiar tactic of auditors, but YouTube doesn't seem to care. Even when YouTube terminates an auditor's channel, the auditor just starts up again and carries on, as was the case with UK Meet the Tyrants, who just started a new channel and carried on as if nothing had happened. Is there any other example on YouTube or other social media of a group of people recording themselves, committing offences and harassing others in defiance of the law, social norms and YouTube's own community guidelines, terms and policies, and yet thriving and earning large incomes in some cases from doing so? The only example I can think of are paedophiles who use social media illicitly to circulate abusive material. Again, let me just stress that I'm not comparing auditors to such people, but there is a comparison in principle in the sense that both groups seem to fly under the radar. I don't agree with the demonetisation of Russell Brand's channel, but what it does show is that even when a creator is massive with millions of subscribers and hundreds of thousands of views per video, YouTube are prepared to end their commercial relationship with that person. Therefore, it seems that there is no excuse for YouTube's inaction against auditors. I think the most invidious thing is that Russell Brand's own content on YouTube had no relationship to his alleged illegality, whereas the various criminal acts and civil wrongs of auditors do relate to their content. It is their content, and it's their current content, not something that has happened historically. Therefore, it is fair game for discussion and criticism, and YouTube should take action, but mysteriously won't. Something to consider is that YouTube benefits from an immunity in law known as safe harbour in the United States or conditional immunity in the UK and EU. This is based on the concept of mere conduit. I discussed all this in detail in another video which I will link to for those interested. Here I'll be brief and simplify the point. Basically, as long as YouTube can show that they have taken prompt action against any illegal or unlawful or offensive content, they bear no liability themselves for that content, provided they didn't know about it beforehand, and they can rely on the principle in that case that they are a mere conduit for whatever content is published on their platform by content creators and other users. The problem is that YouTube have, in the case of auditors, clearly had prior notice of the problems caused by auditors because they've had numerous complaints, and they must be able to see a pattern of complaints, so they cannot rely entirely on the conditional immunity defence. YouTube know about this content, they know about the problems caused by this content, they cannot deny that. What this means is that YouTube's position is not sustainable in regard to auditors. At some point the dam will break and either official enforcement steps will be taken against YouTube by the Information Commissioner's Office, or somebody will bring a legal claim against both YouTube and one or more auditors, in which conditional immunity enjoyed by YouTube is challenged. It is just a matter of time.